and welcome to this week's episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. I'm your host, Chris Green, Director of Network Expansion, and we appreciate your time for tuning in today like we do every week. We have a great show lined up for you today. We'll be welcoming in a great member of the Avoya Network, Cheerie Dorris, owner of Cheerie Travel, LLC, for a Meet the Network segment. We're going to discuss the latest in travel, including Cheerie's reaction to the mask mandate going away on planes, trains, and other transportation, plus a lot of the other important topics of the day for the travel industry. We look forward to welcoming Cheerie to the program here in just a few moments. We're going to touch base on the top stories of the week from the travel industry, of course, including the latest on the mask mandate, and if the federal government plans to appeal the ruling that happened earlier this week. We'll also touch base on a very promising story from our friends at Allianz Global Assistance, the travel insurance vendor, and their just released report on summer travel to Europe. And we'll wrap up our industry news with a bit of a concerning story about pilot shortages, fuel costs, and why one airline is pulling the plug on Hawaii for the rest of 2022. All of those coming up in our Eye on the Industry feature. And of course, we'll also highlight some of our best-in-class resources, like our ongoing professional development programs, our technology support, and our patented live lead program, because at the end of the day, our number one goal with On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update, is to connect with you, the experienced travel professional, or you, the new to the industry travel person looking for the right resources of which to launch your travel career. Avoya Travel continues to have the top-rated program in leisure travel, and we hope to connect with you and connect you with an affiliation specialist soon. They can answer all of your questions, and we'll make sure you have all the ways to reach out and get in contact with us here at Avoya Travel at the end of today's broadcast. Okay, it's time we kicked off today's show. And as always, we start with some industry highlights and our Eye on the Industry feature. And of course, no surprise what our top story is today, as it's the ongoing legal issues surrounding mask mandates on transportation. And here's the latest timeline of this story. So on Monday, federal U.S. District Judge Catherine Mizell struck down the mask mandate, the rule for transportation, including air, train, bus, other public forms of transportation. She ruled that the CDC had overstepped its authority in establishing the mandate earlier last year, and it also failed to follow required federal rulemaking procedures. Now, within hours, in some cases minutes, like you may have seen the video of people just applauding on the planes, all the major air carriers dropped the mask mandate, as did transportation providers like Uber and Lyft. Then on Tuesday, in response, the federal government said it was a wait-and-see approach on whether they would appeal that decision or not, opting to get guidance first from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, on the subject. Well, yesterday, the CDC came out and said that, yes, the mask mandate was needed to protect the public's health interest, which caused the DOJ, the Department of Justice, to file an appeal on the ruling. In a release statement, the DOJ said the department continues to believe that the order requiring masking in the transportation corridor is a valid exercise of the authority Congress has given CDC to protect the public health, that it's an important authority of the department, and they will continue to work to preserve that right. So now we're in kind of a wait and see mode, with the appeal probably expected to be heard very quickly. I mean, I did an update a little bit ago. I hadn't seen anything as of, say, 45 minutes ago. The mask mandate had been expected to actually expire on the 18th of April, but the CDC extended that to early May because of an increase in COVID cases from the BA.2 Omicron variant. We'll continue to follow this story, of course, as it has broad implications for the whole travel sector. And in a related story, Canada reaffirmed its mask mandate for those taking public transportation, including air travel. Well, some very promising news from the good folks at Allianz Global Assistance, the travel insurance vendor, as they've released a new study showing that American travelers to Europe this summer are expected to be up a staggering 600%. Yes, sixfold. This is a story we sourced from Travel Weekly. Allianz analyzed more than 40,000 flight itineraries for trips that lasted between 5 and 8 days that are going on this summer between Memorial Day and Labor Day. Now, quoting Daniel Durazo, the Director of External Communications at Allianz Partners USA, European destinations have made a significant effort to welcome Americans back, and our data shows tremendous pent-up demand for travel to that continent. 3/4 of Americans headed to Europe plan to spend 7 days on vacation. 11% are planning on 8 days. The top destination, like it is every year, is London. That remains unchanged. 22% of all Americans are planning to visit London on their European trip. Listing the rest of the top 10 European destinations for the summer are as follows: Paris number 2, Dublin number 3, Reykjavik in Iceland number 4, Rome is 5th, followed by Edinburgh, Scotland, Lisbon, Portugal, Athens, Barcelona, and then rounding out the top 10 is Amsterdam. And this is great news if you sell Europe, and it does match what we're seeing internally at Avoya Travel, which is interest and bookings to Europe for summer 22 being up very strong right now. All right, so now maybe the flip of that, right? That was very encouraging. This is a little concerning if you ask me. One airline is punting completely on Hawaii for the rest of 2022, and they're citing the ongoing labor crisis and finding enough pilots, the high cost of fuel, and other logistic challenges. In a report from Travel Pulse, it was reported that budget carrier Sun Country Airlines will be canceling all flights to Hawaii for the rest of the year. In their statement, they said all passengers with current bookings would have their payment refunded to the original credit card used, but they're not covering any other related expenses, including extra costs due to hotels or other airlines, inter-island flights, or the purchase of new airline tickets from a different carrier so they can still take the trip. Quoting from that statement, bookings are strong for summer travel, and we know our customers are eager to vacation. After experiencing extremely high demand in the first quarter of the year, Sun Country is adjusting our summer flying schedule to ensure that we're providing a reliable product and to line our flying with current high fuel prices. Sun Country also announced they're canceling another long haul route, this time to Fairbanks, Alaska. Again, that's due to high cost of fuel. I think you're going to see more of these types of announcements as vendors focus on their core, the areas of their business model that they're going to be able to be profitable. And then maybe as time goes on, they'll continue to reach back out. I mean, they did say they hope to be back in Hawaii for 2023. All right, time to transition to my favorite part of our weekly get-together here at On Deck with Avoya, and that's our weekly Q&A session. And this week, as we fast approach Travel Agent Appreciation Day and month, we have a great Meet the Network segment. Today, we're going to feature Cheerie Dorris, owner of Cheerie Travel, LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Network. Cheerie is a very active travel professional who I was fortunate enough to run into at Cruise 360. In fact, if you watch our program on a regular basis, we had a quick impromptu interview with Cheerie on the trade show floor live, as we brought you our show live that week from Fort Lauderdale. Well, we're thrilled to have Cheerie back in the hot seat again, this time for a full extended sit down so we can cover all of the important topics of the day for all travel professionals. So let's welcome in our special Meet the Network guest today for On Deck with Avoya, Cheerie Dorris, owner of Cheerie Travel, LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Network. Cheerie, so great to have you on as our featured guest today.
Well, thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Before we talk about current events and everything going on in travel, I was wondering if maybe you could give us a quick backstory and how you ended up working in the travel industry as an independent travel professional.
Well, I've been selling travel for about 11 years now. I actually worked for Royal Caribbean directly for many, many, many years. I'm actually a new independent agency. Did my due diligence, looked at lots of options. Avoya has an incredible reputation, and went with Avoya. Love the support, love everything about Avoya, and have been remarkably successful and happy. So
growing up, was travel always something that was important to your family, or was that something that you discovered a little later on in life was a passion of yours?
No, absolutely. My dad was military. So yes, we traveled a lot. In fact, it's interesting, when I was a girl, he was stationed in Germany. So every weekend we were somewhere else, and, a different country. And I just recently returned from Amsterdam on the Amamora Best of the Best trip as a rookie of the year. And I got to climb a windmill, which I had seen the windmills in Kinderdijk, or in the Kinderdijk region, when I was a child, when I was there. And so that was kind of a really cool experience to do that again. So
full circle moment, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So we traveled a lot as kids. We moved a lot until finally, it got to the point where it was like, okay, it's time to settle down and stay in one place and, So
Do you think that love of travel and all of those early experiences kind of gave you the nudge to be a travel professional when it was all said and done?
yeah, absolutely. The curiosity that comes with, and the exposure to other worlds, other cultures, and other peoples, and just yeah.
All the good stuff that comes from travel.
Exactly.
So the first thing I want to know is your thoughts on our top story, the end of the mask mandates, or what looks like the end. I guess we'll see what happens on the appeal. How do you think your clients are going to react to that news, and what's your personal feelings on that?
Well, so far, my clients are kind of 50-50. Several of them, it happened during mid-flight for a few of them. And some are like, woohoo, finally. And others are a little more wary. Some have underlying conditions and are a little more cautious about it. Others, are like, oh, are they still going to let me wear my mask? It's like, of course they are. So it really all depends. Myself personally, I may still wear mine. I'm supposed to go to Cancun next week. I just recovered from COVID, as you know. I had it on in the airport coming back from Cruise 360. So, I know they do provide protection, but it's out there. We're all going to get it. We're maybe not get it, but vaccines, etc. I don't know personally. I think it's a personal choice, honestly. And so I think the real thing that is causing hesitation right now for traveling abroad, at least, is they want the testing to end to come back into the United States, more so than the mask issue.
Yeah, so that's kind of a wait and see. And I know that's been, being discussed, and a lot of the other countries are dropping that requirement for their citizens. And there's a lot of pressure, certainly on the administration, to re-examine that and just to see if it is providing a direct benefit. And if not, let's get rid of something that's cumbersome that, the general public not a big fan of anyway. So I certainly appreciate your great insight on that. And I know that, these things are always difficult conversations to have with clients. When you look, like you were saying, that you've been in the industry for quite some time, but new to being a travel agency owner, what are some of the resources that you use as a member of the Avoya network that are very vital to your success?
The marketing, all the marketing team is incredible. All the different digital assets that they create for us are incredible, as far as what we want to use for our social platforms, as well as, I mean, the new, the spring book, or if you want to call it, I'm not
E-magazine,
sure.
right? Yeah, we just featured that
Magazine,
the other day.
yes,
It's really
yes,
amazing
it's
looking,
beautiful, right? Incredible. But all those digital assets, I have to say, basically all the academies are incredible. All the learning opportunities. The virtual land forum we just had was incredible. All the connections. Land hasn't been my specialty. It's been cruise, obviously, but all the connections we're able to make. I'm doing the actual in-person land forum starting next week, and that's an exciting opportunity. So just all of the wonderful things like that. The connections with people like you, the coaching opportunities, because regardless of how many years you've been in travel, you can always learn something. I'm part of the mastermind program, as you know, and that just being able to reach out to somebody, have that connection to somebody when you need guidance, you need help, or you just want to, hey, am I on track, or I have a question, or I mean, everybody is there to help you all the time, whenever you need it.
I want to circle back really quick to some of the marketing that you take advantage of and things that are in our marketing resource center. And we were touching base on Avoya's new e-magazine. Do you take advantage of the fact that you can have those customized to your own branding when you use those? And how vital is that? I mean, how much does that resonate with the clients?
It does, because, I can have it with my own logo, for my own agency, with the Avoya logo as well. With or without. And it's for me to do that stuff on my own would take me hours. I'm a one person shop, so to speak. So the time saving, just that alone, and the cost savings is incredible. So the value that Avoya brings to me, to my independent agency, is immeasurable. I mean, it just is.
Cheerie, you mentioned earlier about your participation in the Avoya Travel Mastermind program. And for those that have watched our show on a regular basis, they've heard me say that I'm a former affiliate in the Avoya Network myself before I moved over to the employee side. And I found the Mastermind program, which was in its infancy stages back then, to just be one of the most eye-opening, vital programs that I participated in. What does it do for you and your agency to participate in that Mastermind program?
Well, especially I've had other businesses, so I know business, but it helps, when you take your business acumen with the travel agency business and you put those together, it helps you keep your focus. You set goals, let's measurable goals, and obviously what gets written gets done. And so it helps you measure and make sure, you've got a coach, somebody to guide you. You've got problems, you've got questions, you need to bounce ideas off somebody. You've got, great quarterbacks have coaches, great teams have coaches. Everybody needs advice and guidance, and it helps propel you to, I think, greater success than you would have on your own.
When I participated, one of the things I found really beneficial was that it kind of held me accountable in some ways. Of course, they always say, and there's no doubt, that you're the business owner and you run the show the way you see fit, as long as it's done with integrity and professionalism. But just by participating in that, it kind of it eliminates any thought I ever had of taking the easy way out, because the easy way out didn't return the results that you want. Do you find the same thing?
Absolutely. I mean, I want growth, I want to be successful, and I have goals. They are written, and I do hold myself accountable, and the mastermind program helps me do that.
So you're going to be at the landform you were mentioning down in Cancun. What were some of the things that you got out of the virtual side, and what are some of the things that you're hoping to get out when you're face to face here next week?
Well, I really like some of the presentations by some of our preferred suppliers, as well as the one-on-one connections, with them in our little round tables that we, our 7-minute interview sessions that we had. As well as the connections with the other independent agencies in the Avoya network. And what I'm hoping to get out personally is, the site inspections, and just basically learn how to sell all inclusive and some of the resorts, because that's, an area that I'm expanding into.
Sometimes it's that little moment that you have with a fellow travel professional as part of the network that can really get the light bulb to turn on really bright.
Exactly.
And I think that's just one of the most valuable aspects of Avoya Travel, is how, we don't compete. Avoya doesn't compete with our independent affiliates. We don't sell travel, only the affiliates do. But we also create a nurturing environment where other agencies do want to help and uplift, because the concept of, high tide rises all boats really is true, especially when you're looking at leisure travel and being part of a network. Cheerie Dorris, owner of Cheerie Travel, LLC, an independent agency of the Avoya Network, is our featured Meet the Network guest today. Cheerie, I know you're also part of the 2022 Network Advisory Board. First off, congratulations for being selected to that. And tell me a little bit about being on that board, some of the things you cover, and your goals for participating in that.
Oh, I was honored to be selected for that, for the board. We meet monthly, and the goal of the board is to bring the concerns, the interests, the ideas of the independent agencies to, the management team and the executives of Avoya, to see what we can do collaboratively to address them and see how we can move things forward. And, I wasn't on it last year. Obviously, I wasn't part of the network yet, but there've been so many success stories about things, that they've done, in the technology field with our, software, et cetera, and our platforms, and other things that have just been, really, really good. And, as a new voice on the board, I think that it's probably easier for some of the newer IAs to come to me as a as a relatively new independent agency to bring concerns and ideas, etc. So I think that's probably my role, is to kind of be that conduit for the newer IAs as well, and to just
Because
learn.
you do, absolutely. And you have to have that information from those that are new to the network as well as those that have been in the network a long time, because you have to have a full understanding of both sides of the coin if this kind of a program is really going to flourish. And again, we're really excited about your participation in that. As a follow-up, do you think it's important that Avoya, I guess the right word would be they care? I know Mike Anderson, I know Jeff Anderson, our co-CEOs at Avoya Travel. They've been pretty active with people on that board and really taking what they hear to heart and trying to turn it into concrete steps for the network.
Absolutely. The fact that they have the board, and the fact that they are accessible to us, and they listen, they take action. And yeah, I mean, it's incredible that a company this size, again, made up of independent agencies, but yeah, everybody cares. It's more of a family than you would think. Anybody from the outside, maybe they aren't aware, but they really should look at Avoya, because I have felt welcome from day one, supported, and it is truly a mutually successful concern. I mean, it really is a wonderful opportunity for anybody who's looking to grow their travel agency.
Really appreciate hearing that, because of course we talk all the time about Avoya Travel has a shared success business model. It's one thing to talk, but it's another thing to see it in action. So I really appreciate you giving voice to what you've seen firsthand as being part of that.
I feel so supported, Chris. I mean, I can't. And anybody whoever asked me, I spoke to several people, when we were at Cruise 360, and about various hosting opportunities. I'm like, oh, Avoya, they're the best.
That's awesome. We appreciate that. Cheerie, we have a lot of people watching that are still kind of in that research phase on deciding on either A, are they going to be a travel professional, or maybe they're already in the industry coming out of a situation similar to yours, or whatever the case may be. What advice would you offer to them on important things to consider when you're starting an agency?
Well, definitely do your due diligence, interview. And I mean, as the individual who's going to be in the travel business, interview the hosts or the franchises, whatever you're looking at. You interview them, not just them interview you. Figure out, have your business plan in order, figure out how much time you actually have to dedicate to this. And, interview other independent agencies, find out what they like, find out what the support looks like, what resources do they have for you, what does the marketing look like, what are the costs, what are the requirements, make sure it's a good fit, make sure the timing is right. I mean, there's all kinds of, and there's a good fit for everybody. And Avoya was the perfect fit for me.
It is. It's a big industry, and we don't claim to be the right fit for everybody, but for the people that we are the right fit for, well, there's a reason why Avoya Travel wins #1 host agency just about every year, because we really do have the kind of best-in-class resources that can help you resonate with clients, to have that competitive advantage in closing more sales, and of course, our professional development programs to help you take everything to that kind of next level. Cheerie, what are you hearing from clients right now as far as their excitement level on travel or concerns they may have? I know we touched base on some of this earlier as far as the mask mandate, but what kind of things are they looking to book right now?
Really, it's interesting, because most of them are, the majority of mine are cruise. They're booking a lot of stuff really close in if there's still availability, but they're booking all their 23s, all their 24s as soon as the itinerary's open. So they're back to it. They've got built up, pent up demand, and they're, a lot of them, because they weren't able to cruise for a while, they're booking higher end spending more on the cabin. If they were in an ocean view, they're now in a balcony. If they were in a balcony, now they're in a suite. They're doing back-to-backs more, and they're booking longer itineraries. So, and they're going to places they weren't before. So they're not just doing, but others are like, just get me on a ship. I don't care where it goes. So they just want to travel.
Speaking of travel, you had mentioned you're going to be in Cancun for the Avoya landform coming up. When you travel as a travel professional, what are some of the things that you're paying attention to so that when it comes up, you can relate those experiences to your clients?
I do pay attention to the protocols that the various resorts or hotels or, destinations are have implemented, as well as, what the local transportation is. Are they masking at places? Are they spritzing the tables, that kind of thing? As well as just what the overall vibe is as far as how the locals feel. And just overall how people are feeling. Are they anxious and afraid, or are they, oh, yep, it's over, let's go?
Yeah, I guess you got to kind of have a handle and get a sense on where they are with everything going on in order to be able to really relate those experiences in the right kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
As a travel professional, both when you worked with Royal Caribbean, now that you have your own agency, we all know that experiencing travel is one of the great benefits of being in this industry. I'm sure you've had some amazing experiences. What are some of your favorite trips that you've been on, that you've been privileged enough to go on because you've been part of this industry?
Back when we were allowed to go to Cuba, that was one of my favorites. I got to do a cruise to Cuba. Someday, hopefully that'll be opened up again and we'll be able to travel there again. The trip I just took, to the Netherlands and Belgium is right up there. I love Hawaii. Who doesn't love Hawaii?
Sure.
I've not yet been to Australia. I would love to do that someday, but I have to wait until I have enough miles for first class flights, because that's that's a long plane ride unless I take a ship.
For sure, absolutely.
So, but yeah, there are definitely benefits to doing it as a travel advisor as opposed to just a cruise line employee. But what is exciting is going with guests as well and taking, the groups, etc. I want to do a lot more of that in the future, take my groups. So
that would be a lot of fun. And to experience that through their eyes is always really special too. You know what I mean? So
that's the best part of this job is, building the dream or painting the picture with the guests.
Cheerie, before we let you go, I just have one last question. What's your feeling on the future of leisure travel? Everything that we've been through, everything we're still going through. Are you excited about the next few years? Are you apprehensive? What's your thoughts as maybe the world starts to open up again?
Oh, I'm really, really excited. I think, and you can see it, at least from the cruise lines perspective. I don't know about all inclusives yet. 2019 was the record year for the majority of them. And maybe 22 won't be there, but 23 will far exceed. Again, we can't say what's going to happen with world politics, etc., as far as wars, and new viruses. But I believe that it's nothing but bright. People want to travel. People will always find a way to travel. It's in human nature to be curious. And so it's just going to continue to grow, and people want to travel. They want to get out. We learned something from being forced to be locked down for so long, and we don't like it. And we want to go, and we want to experience, and we want to live. So travel is back.
What a perfect exclamation point on our conversation. Cheerie Dorris, everyone, owner of Cheerie Travel, LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Network. Cheerie, thanks so much for your time and that great discussion. And I look forward to catching up with you here in a couple of months when we're together in Las Vegas.
Thank you, Chris. Can't wait to see you.
Next week, we welcome in Mandy Melende, Director of Sales Operations here at Avoya Travel, for a Meet the Team segment. We can't wait to do a deep dive into Mandy's role in helping the Avoya Network to continue to thrive and shine. That'll be next Thursday here on Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. You know, we talk all the time about resources, and Avoya Travel is fortunate enough to have best-in-class resources when it comes to professional development, the mastermind program that we were talking about, the forums that we put on, our national conference, things like that. Not only from a professional development standpoint, but marketing, the Marketing Resource Center, the new Avoya e-magazine, our technology, and we're not even touching base on some of the top ones, right? Like our patented live lead program. Did you know that live leads that Avoya Travel generates for our independent base accounts approximately for 60% of their gross sales at year's end? Think about that. 60% of their gross sales come from a live lead that their partner Avoya Travel has generated for them. That program continues to be our #1 calling card, and certainly should be the #1 reason that you put in your request, pick up the phone and call me, send me an email, get connected with an expansion specialist for that conversation. And then, of course, everything else that we bring to the table. Build your business the way you want. We'll help you with everything you need to grow, grow, grow. So how do you reach out to us here at Avoya Travel? Whether you're an experienced or travel professional or you're new to the industry, we've got programs to meet you where you are in the journey. So reach out. Chris.Green, avoyatravel.com. That's my email. There's the phone number. Avoyanetwork.com is an amazing website that you can get a wealth of information and put your request in. We'll get you connected with an expansion specialist for that conversation. And they can't wait. We can't wait. If it's a good fit, we'll put it together, and we'll put together another shared success relationship that Avoya Travel is known for. Thank you so much for your time, for being part of this week's On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. A big thanks to Marissa Smith in marketing, who does an amazing job week in, week out producing our show. Big thanks to Cheerie Dorris for being our special guest today. Can't wait for Mandy next Thursday here on Deck with Avoya. And until then, just as the phone rings, have a great week, everyone.